EIGRP. Now this EIGRP is the enhanced version of IGRP. IGRP was the protocol released and introduced by the Cisco. Now they have introduced this EIGRP. It is enhanced version of IGRP. It is advanced version of IGRP. And same as IGRP, this EIGRP is also a Cisco proprietary protocol. It's a proprietary protocol. So this EIGRP is an advanced distance vector routing protocol, and that is used on a computer network to help automate routing decisions and configurations. So the protocol was designed by Cisco System as a proprietary protocol and available only on Cisco routers. So we cannot use this on other companies' routers because it is designed and it is a proprietary protocol for Cisco. Now EIGRP is used on a router to share routes with other routers within the same autonomous system, and this is also IGP protocol, interior gateway, because it works within the autonomous system number. Then unlike the other well-known routing protocols such as RIP, EIGRP only sends incremental updates, reducing the workload on the router and the amount of data that needs to be transmitted. Now this EIGRP, first advanced thing in this EIGRP is that it does not send the whole routing table. In a routing table, if suppose we have hundreds of entries, so it does not send the whole 100 of entries, it sends only the incremental updates. Incremental updates, that means the changes, the only changes. If suppose among the whole 100 networks, if only 2 networks have seen changes, then what it shows, it sends the only 2 networks information to the neighbor router. And it does not send the whole table, it only sends the incremental updates. That is one of the advanced feature of this EIGRP. Now what is the other features we have in EIGRP? So first, it supports the classless inter-domain routing, that is classless routing and variable length subnet masking. So it is a classless protocol which supports the subnetting and variable length VLSM also, variable length subnetting also. Then routes are not summarized at the classful network boundary unless auto summary is enabled. Now auto summary, now here we can do the the summarization of the route also, like we did in OSPF. In OSPF what we create the multiple areas and we create those areas only for doing the route summarization. And route summarization is what? Reducing the routing table to a single entry. Like if you have hundreds of entries in the routing table, so we can reduce those 100 of routing table entries into single entry. We can summarize that entries and then we can make that router to forward that summarized information to the neighbor router from one area to other area. And because of that route summarization, we create OSPF areas, so that we can transfer the summarized network from one area to other area. Now in EIGRP, it actually sends the incremental update, so it does not send the large routing tables. So it does not send the large routing tables, it sends only incremental updates, so no need for areas here. We don't need areas here, but still we can do the auto summary whenever we want. Whenever we want, that means whenever we want, like wherever we want. Like if suppose we want to do the auto summary on this router, we want to do the summarization on this router to forward the summarized route on this side. So we can configure, we can do that, and we can do that on the interface basis. In OSPF, we configure the areas, the route summarization in the protocol itself. But here we only configure, in EIGRP we configure the summarization only on that interface. So in that interface we configure the summarization saying that when you send the route to this side, then summarize the route. Otherwise, if you don't want, then you can. If you don't want, then you will not do the summarization also. It is not needed basically because it says the incremental updates. So we can do the manual summary also, unless if it is auto summary enabled. By default the auto summary is enabled if you don't do the summarization, but still it will do the summarization. But but if your networks are separate networks, then it will not do the auto summary. Auto summary will do only work when you are having a multiple subnets of a single network. Like you have a single network and you have subnetted into multiple sub networks, then it will do auto summary. Otherwise it will not do auto summary if all the networks are separate, are different networks. It's not a subnetting, so it will not do the auto summary. But auto summary will be enabled by default. If you want, then you can do the manual summary also if it is not doing auto summary, or you can disable the auto summary and do the manual summary also. Then you have it support for load balancing on parallel links between the sites. Now parallel link, it supports by the other protocols also, like RIP and OSPF also, RIP version 1, 2 both, and OSPF also, that they do support the load balancing. Load balancing maximum up to 4 paths. So if you have a 4 similar paths to reach the destination, so it do what? They support maximum 4 paths to reach the destination, and they can use all those 4 paths to reach the destination. And how it will work? It will do the load balancing. If you have a same path, like if you are using the RIP protocol, and if you have a same hop counts from 4 different paths maximum, so it will take those 4 paths into the routing table, and it do the routing for routing from all those 4 paths. What it will do? It will do the load balancing. That means one packet it will send from one link, the other packet it will send from the other link, then third packet will send from the third link, then fourth packet will send from the fourth link, then fifth packet will go back to first, then second, third, fourth, like this. It do the load balancing, so the data will be transferred quickly. So all those protocols, including the EIGRP also, they all support the parallel links between the sites, 2 different sites or network. They support the parallel link and they do the load balancing. But in this EIGRP, EIGRP actually supports non-parallel link also. That means if the links are not equal, still we can do the load balancing. That is the difference between this EIGRP and the other protocol like RIP and OSPF. They can do the load balancing on the parallel link only when those links are equal. Equal in case of the matrix. In case of RIP, the matrix is hop count, so the hop count is equal, then it will do the load balancing. And in case of OSPF, the matrix is cost, so if the cost is equal for those paths, then only it will do the load balancing for those parallel links. But we have an option here in EIGRP. By default it do the load balancing in the parallel link when the links are say equal, they are equal. But we can do what? We can do the load balancing on unequal paths also. For example, we have like this network. We have okay, so like this is the network and this is the network here. If I want to go from this network to this network, so I have these 3 paths here. Now if I configure RIP or OSPF, so they will choose these 2 links. By default they will choose these 2 links, and these 2 links are similar, equal. Like for RIP, it's 1 hop and 2 hop to reach the destination, and from this side also 1 hop and 2 hop. So those 2 links are equal, but this link is not equal. If you go from there, from this link, so 1, 2 and 3, it goes by 3 hops. So this is not equal. So in RIP protocol, what it will do, it will use these 2 links. These 2 links are the parallel link, they are equal link, and it will use for those for the load balancing. It will send one packet from this link and other packet from the other link. And for example, in OSPF also, it can take these 2 links as a parallel link and do the load balancing if the cost is similar. So if suppose the cost of this link is 10 and this link is also 10, so it will use both of the link and it will do the load balancing, but only it will use the links which is equal, RIP and OSPF. They'll use the link only when they are equal, and they can support up to 4 equal links. Now EIGRP can also do the same thing. It will do support the 4 equal links. So by default it supports the equal link, but if we want, then we can do what? We can configure it to support the unequal link also. Like for example, I have this link here. I have only these 2 links, this one and this one. The cost for this link is 10 and the cost for this link is 20. Now what? These 2 links are not equal, but if I want, then I can use these both links for load balancing in EIGRP. So how it will work, and how it will use both the links in the routing table, and what it will do the load balancing. Now this one is the fast one and this one is the slower one. So it will do what? It will send 1 packet from this side and it will send 2 packets from this side, because this is the fast one and this is the half of the size or half the speed of that, the fast one. So it will send 2 packets in this side, so 1 packets in this side, and it do use the unparalleled link for the load balancing. That is the advanced thing we have in EIGRP, which is not available in RIP and RIP and OSPF. Then the ability to use the different authentication passwords at different times. Then also it is having an authentication feature, and in authentication feature it supports the different passwords in different times also. MD5 authentication between 2 routers, MD5 hashing it uses for the authentication. Then sends the topology changes rather than sending the entire routing table when a route is changed. So instead of sending the whole routing table, it sends the updates and incremental updates. That means it sends only the changes. If it is having in changes, then only it sends the changes instead of the whole routing table. Then periodically checks if a route is available and propagates the routing changes to neighboring routers if any changes have occurred, and runs separate routing process for Internet Protocol IP and IPv6, Apple IPX and Apple Talk. This is one of the extra advanced thing is here, that in OSPF it actually supports only one protocol, RIP, this IP protocol. But here in EIGRP it actually supports IP, IPv6, IPX and Apple Talk, and it can run the different routings for the different protocols. For IP it can run a different routing, IPv6 different routing, IPX and Apple Talk it can run the different routing. Though the use of the protocol dependent modules, because of this protocol dependent modules. Then backward compatibility with the IGRP routing protocol. Now it is also compatible with the IGRP because it is enhanced version of the IGRP. So it has also the backward compatibility, like if you have already configured the IGRP on the other routers, then it can support those also. Also it uses a reliable transport protocol for communication. It uses the reliable transport protocol for doing the communication. It uses the hello packet for neighbor discovery. Just like the OSPF uses the hello discovery, hello protocol, it also uses the hello protocol, hello packets to neighbor discovery. And for transferring the other data, it uses the RTP, reliable transport protocol, for the communication. Then administrative distance value for the EIGRP is 90. Now as we know that the administrative distance value defines the path, like which path to choose. If suppose you have these multiple paths, so this router will choose the path only when you have a least AD value. If suppose you have 120 here, you have 100 here, 110 here, and you have 90 here. So our router will choose the path which is having the least AD value. Now this AD value of the OSPF is actually the least one among the other routing protocols. If the OSPF you see, the OSPF AD value is 110, and the RIP protocol, whether it is version 1 or 2, it is 120. AD value actually define that the link is the path is reliable more than the other path. So if you see like that, then you can see the AD value of the EIGRP is 90, and it is more reliable than these two other protocols, RIP or OSPF. So actually this EIGRP is the more advanced, and it actually more advanced, stable and good protocol. But the only drawback of this EIGRP is that it is a proprietary protocol and it only works with the Cisco devices. It does not work with the other devices. Other than that, this protocol is very good, EIGRP. OSPF is also a good protocol, and these two protocol can be support for the big network. RIP is not supported in big network. We have for the big network, we have only OSPF and EIGRP. Now in among the EIGRP and OSPF, if you say, then you can see the EIGRP is the better protocol, and OSPF is also a good protocol, but it is actually a process intensive. Its algorithm put a lot of load on the router, so router has to work a lot hard. Then this is a distance vector protocol, a class of distance vector, so it is least it put a least load on the router, and but still it is a very good protocol. But the only drawback in the EIGRP we have is that it is a proprietary protocol, and in other hand the OSPF and RIP both are the open standard protocol that anybody can use. Now overview of the EIGRP. Now before that, what we will do, we will see how we can configure this. Then we will see what is the difference, what is the overview of this EIGRP protocol. Okay, so this is our network, this is our design here. In this we have these three routers configured, IP addresses are already configured. Now I will go to this router first, and here we'll check show IP route. So it shows here only these connected networks, these two networks are connected, and there is no routing protocol, there is no routing is configured, no static, no dynamic, no routing is configured. So we want to configure EIGRP here. So same as the other routing protocol, we'll go to the config mode, and then we'll mention the command router, and after the router command we can mention whatever the protocol we want to configure. Now this time I want to configure EIGRP, so I will mention EIGRP, and now when I press enter, it says incomplete command. Now incomplete command, that means there are something which is I have not given. Now RIP, for RIP only the routing protocol name is enough. For OSPF, when we give OSPF, so there is something which we have to give, and that is what the process ID. So actually when we use OSPF, we have to mention the process ID with that protocol name. Now what we have to mention with the EIGRP, so when I give a question mark here, it says that I have to mention the autonomous system number. Now this is not a process ID like we give in OSPF. In OSPF we mention the process ID, and process ID can be anything, can be any number, and it is only locally significant. Locally significant, that means it only important for this router. For other routers, that autonomous system number is not important. But here in EIGRP, it actually asking for the autonomous system number. Autonomous system number for the autonomous system domain, the routing domain. Routing domain, this is the number for the routing domain, and this is what we have to mention here. And this we have to mention same on all the routers we configure for this routing domain. So if it is our routing domain, so we will configure, if I configure a EIGRP on this routing domain, so I have to make sure that I give the same number on all the routers. If I give a different number, autonomous number for the other any router in our routing domain, then it will be considered as a other routing domain, other autonomous system number. And this autonomous system number is actually given by the ISP. They will give the number, so that they will not give that number to any other company or any other organization. So they give a unique autonomous number for you, for your organization. Now, whatever the number you have given or you have got it from the ISP, you have to give it here. And all the routers you configure with the EIGRP, you have to mention this autonomous number. Remember, the EIGRP is the IGP protocol, interior gateway protocol. It works within the autonomous number. If you want to connect two autonomous number, different auto numbers, if we give the different autonomous number, then we need to configure the BGP, the border gateway protocol, which works outside of the autonomous system number. Right now I will use the same number for all the routers. So it is not a process ID that we can use any number on any router in OSPF when we configure. This is an autonomous system number and we have to mention it same for all the routers within the routing domain. In OSPF it is also works within the routing domain, but we don't mention the autonomous number. But here in EIGRP we have to mention it. So for example, I will give 10 here. So I have to give the same number to everyone, every other router. Now that is the complete command. Now we are under the routing mode here. Now here we have to mention again the connected network, just like the other routing protocols, dynamic routing protocols. We have to mention only the connected networks. So for this router we have these two networks which is connected. So we will mention these two networks with the command network and then network 10. Now this is the same way we give the command in RIP protocol. This is the simple way we give, and here we can also use the same thing. But I will mention the other network 20. But in OSPF there is a new feature, there is an advanced feature which was not available in RIP protocol. That feature was to use the wildcard bit. Which gives you a more benefit of defining the network and managing the routing protocol, like which interface you want to enable the routing protocol. You can manage that by using the wildcard bit, and it was the advanced feature which was not available in RIP protocol. It was available in OSPF, but here in EIGRP it is also an advanced protocol. But you see, I gave the network here directly like RIP. I have not given anything. But if I put a question mark here, it says that you have option to choose wildcard bit. That means it is actually optional here. This advanced feature is also available in EIGRP. Like OSPF, we can use the wildcard bits, but it is an optional thing. It is not a compulsory thing like in OSPF. You have to give the wildcard bit whether you want to or not want to. It is on OSPF. But here in EIGRP, to be it simple, what they did, they make that the wildcard bit optional here. So if you want it, then you can give it. Otherwise, you see the carriage written is there. That means we can press enter here directly. So in my case, in this router, I don't want to make sure that a specific interface the routing protocol enables. So I will not use the wildcard bit. I will just press enter here to mention the network. So it will be easy for me to mention the network. It is not like that complex to mention the wildcard bit also. So it is giving you optional. If you want, you can give wildcard bit. If you don't want, you don't give. Now we don't have to give any other network here. There is two networks only here in this router. So the routing is done for this router, and this wildcard I don't want, so I have not given it. It is just an optional thing for here. So it is an advanced feature and it is optional. If you want, then you can use, and if you don't want, then no need to use it. So here it is done. The routing is in this is done. Now I can go to the other router here. Now in this router, when I check the show IP route, so it shows here that these three networks are connected, and no routing is configured here also. So I want to configure the routing, so I will go to config mode, again router EIGRP. Now this time remember, you have to give the same autonomous number what you have given in the first router. You have to give the same autonomous number for every router within your routing domain, within your autonomous system. So I will give 10 here. Then again I will mention these connected networks. So network 20. Now remember, whenever when I give this network here, network 20, this network 20 is used to connect this other router also. These two routers are directly connected with this network 20. So when I mention network 20 here, then what, it will enable the routing for this network, and it will enable the routing on this interface, and it sends the information to this interface, and the previous router is also sending the information here. So they will talk to each other, and they will do what, they will create the neighbor relationship. Just like in OSPF, they both router will create the neighbor relationship. But you see here, when you do this in the same when you do the same thing in OSPF, it will take a little more time to create the neighborship than this EIGRP. This EIGRP take less time to create the neighborship. You see what happens when I press enter here. Very quickly, when I just press the enter, at that same time it creates the neighborship. And in OSPF, when you press enter, you have to wait for 2, 3, 5, at least 5 to 10 seconds. Then it will show you this neighborship message. But both do the neighborship, so it creates a neighborship here. But this EIGRP actually do create very quickly. So it created the neighborship. It says our neighbor is this. This is our neighbor's router ID. It is connected with this interface, and it is using the EIGRP autonomous number 10. So this is what neighborship it is created. Now the other networks are network 30 and then network 172.16.0.0. Now there is no other network available for this router, so it is done here. Now I will go to the third router. And here we have these networks. Now this one is a virtual, it is not a real adapter, it is a virtual adapter, loopback adapter. So it is just an adapter. I will not use this adapter for the routing. So I will use these two interfaces, these two networks only. So I will go again to config mode, router EIGRP autonomous number 10, the same which we have used on the previous routers. Now I will mention the network 30. Now same, this network 30 is used to connect the other router from this between this Thane and Pune. So when I mention this network, they will create the neighborship. The neighborship is created very quickly. Then I will mention the other network, which is 192.168.1.0, and this is done. So routing is done. We can check now show IP route, and we can see now here it knows the all other networks. Now it can see all those networks. These are connected, and these networks it knows by using the EIGRP. And what it shows here, it shows D here. Now D means, if you see the codes here, D means actually EIGRP. So D means EIGRP, and C is for these connected networks. And we can see this is the AD value of the EIGRP 90, and this is the calculated matrix. Now matrix for the EIGRP is not a single matrix. It uses the 5 different matrix, just like IGRP. It uses the different matrix like bandwidth, delay, MTU, reliability. So it uses these different matrix, and it uses this composed calculated matrix via this this interface, the gateway. It gets the information, and the information is 16 seconds old. So after the period of time, it is going to send the update, and it will send only the incremental update. Now this is this router, and now we can see in all the routers it is configured. We can check show IP route. It is configured. It knows all the networks here also. Then on this router, also it knows all the networks. So this EIGRP is now configured on all these networks within a single autonomous number. Configuration is very easy for EIGRP, and also it gives you the advanced features of the wildcard bit, but it is only optional. If you want, then we can use, and if you want to configure it like a RIP, then you can also configure it like a RIP. Now what is the overview? We can see here EIGRP is the Enhanced Interior Gateway Protocol, and it is an advanced distance vector protocol, and this protocol is an evolution of an earlier Cisco protocol called IGRP, so which is now considered absolute. Now Cisco don't use this, nobody uses IGRP, everyone uses the EIGRP instead of IGRP. This EIGRP supports the classless routing and VLSM. So it supports the classless routing, like if you do the subnetting and you do the variable length subnetting, it also supports that, and route summarization also. So simply when it sends the routing table, send the route, so it sends the subnet mask information also, that it is a subnetted route or not subnetted route. And also it do the route summarization, just like OSPF has an advanced feature of route summarization, it also has an advanced feature. It can also do it can support the route summarization. And for doing the route summarization in EIGRP, we don't have to configure the areas here. We can do the route summarization anywhere from any interface. Then it sends the incremental updates, only the updates, that means only the interface, only the network which is changed. So if any network comes or goes and comes and down, then it sends only those informations with the routing table. It load balance and many other useful features. Load balance, it do the load balancing with the equal paths, and also it can do the load balancing with the unequal paths. Then it is a Cisco proprietary protocol, so all routers in the network that is running EIGRP must be Cisco routers. That is the only drawback it has, that it only configured on the Cisco routers. We cannot configure on the other routing protocols, the other companies' routers. So if all the routers in the network are the Cisco routers, then you can easily configure this EIGRP. Routers, now routers running EIGRP must become neighbors before exchange the routing information. So just like in OSPF, this in EIGRP also, it becomes the neighbor. It creates the neighborship, and it creates the neighborship table, neighbor table, and it only exchanges the routing information with neighbors. So first the routers has to become the neighbor, and then they have to create the neighborship relationship, and then only they can exchange the routing table. So to dynamically discover the neighbors, EIGRP routers uses a multicast address of 224.0.0.10. So it also uses the multicast address to exchange the information within the with the routing the neighbors of the router. It uses this 224.0.0.10, and each EIGRP router stores the routing and topology information in these three tables. So first it creates the neighbor table. Now for creating the neighbor, for becoming the neighbor, there is a criteria for these two routers. If suppose you have these two routers directly connected, we have these two routers directly connected, so they will only become the neighbor when when actually they send the hello packets to each other. So they send the information of within the hello packets. The information must be same. First is the autonomous number. Autonomous number must be same. If it is 1 here, if we configure 1 on this router, so it must be 1 in this router also. If both the autonomous system, if the autonomous system number is different on all these two neighboring routers, then it will not create the neighborship. Then also the interface which they are connected directly, they must be in the same subnet. So if they are in the same subnet, like for example they are in same 20 subnet, like 20.0.0.1 here, 20.0.0.2 here, or whether we have done the subnetting, so they must be in the same subnet, and when they are in the same subnet, then only they will create the neighborship. So they must be in the same subnet. That is the second criteria. So when they exchange the routing information, when they exchange this uh, hello packets, so with the hello packets they send these information. So first they must be in the same autonomous number, then they must be in the same subnet, and then the third criteria is very important, and sometime we miss this. Both the router must have the same hello interval. The frequency of sending and sending the hello packets. So frequency of sending this hello packet must be similar to these two routers. They must be having a same time. Like if it is this router is sending the packet on 2 seconds, so this router also must send the packets on 2 seconds. Otherwise they will be insynchronized, they will be unsynchronized. They must be synchronized with the hello packets, and for that they require the same interval. If suppose this router is sending on 2 seconds and this router is sending on 10 seconds, then what, it will become a very gap here, it will become a gap here. Like this router will send in the 2 seconds and wait for the response, but this router will send the response on after 10 seconds. So this will not work, and because of that they must be in the same hello interval. So if these three things matches, then only these two routers will become the neighbor, and these two routers will create the neighbor table, and in the neighbor table they have the information about their neighbor. So they create the neighbor table, stores the information about the EIGRP neighbors. Then this one is same as the OSPF, they also create the neighbor table. Then in this EIGRP, it actually create the topology table also. In OSPF, they don't create the topology table. So in OSPF they don't create the topology table, but here in the EIGRP, it actually creates the topology table. Now topology table shows the routing information learned from the neighboring router. Now first they create the neighborship just like the OSPF, and after creating the neighborship, like this router and this router is now configured as a neighbor. So after creating the neighbor, then they will do what? They will send the routing information to each other. This router will send to this router, and this router will send to this router. Now in this information they will create the topology table. Topology table, that means this router says that I am connected to this networks. This router says I am connected to these networks. Now based on that, it will create the topology table. It creates a topology table that which networks these routers are connected. This router is connected directly to these networks. Then it knows that other three networks, they are coming from this router. So it creates a routing topology table. In the topology table, it has the information about all the routes, and from all those routes it will choose the best route, and then it will put that route into the routing table, and this stores the best route to reach any destination. Now because of this topology table, it has a convergence time, very least amount of conversion time, Now what is the convergence time? This is the benefit the benefit of this topology table is that the EIGRP has a very least convergence time as compared to other routing protocol like RIP or OSPF. Now what is the convergence time? Very simple. If suppose you have multiple paths to reach any destination, if suppose we have multiple paths here, like for example we have this network here, we have one network here and we have one network here. Now we can reach the network from this path, and also we can reach the network from this path. Now let's say we calculated that this is the best path here. So what we'll do here, this best path will go to the routing table. That means this router knows that if you want to go to this network, then this is the best path and you always go from this path. Now what happens if this path goes down? There is another path is also there, but it has to calculate that path. If we have configured the RIP here, then RIP will do what? It will redo the calculation. It will do the calculation again, exchange the information to other routers, and then calculate the path and take the best path. Let's say for example we have another path, but that is not that good. We have 3 routers in between. So we have another path here. So we have 3 paths here. Now what RIP will do the recalculation again. It will do exchange the information with the neighboring routers and then find out the best path. And then it finds that this is the best path. Now the time it will take to take the other path. Like one path is down here, one path is down. So it is not able to reach this network. So this router is not able to reach this network. So the network is disconnected, not available for us here. Now the network will choose, it will choose the other path, then the network will be available. So the time it will take to be available is called the convergence time. And in this convergence time is higher in RIP and OSPF. Why? Because they do the calculation again. First they have already calculated, that from here it needs the 1 and 2 hops or the cost. They have already calculated and they said that okay, they have seen this is higher, this is less, and then this is the best. So they have calculated all these 3 paths already and then they choose this path. But when this path goes down, then they have to do the calculation again and it will take a time here. But because of this topology table, OSPF, EIGRP can do what? It can do this very quickly. Why? Because once it calculates these 3 paths, so it take it like this. This path is the best one and this path is the second best. So it put this second best path in this topology table. It knows that already there is a path which is the second best. This one is the best one and this one is the second best and this one is the third best. So it knows all these 3 paths and they are stored into the routing topology table. Now what happened, this best path, when this best path goes down, then the EIGRP don't have to do the calculation again because it already knows that these 2 paths and they are already there in the topology table. So they don't do, the EIGRP don't do the calculation again like RIP and OSPF. It will directly just put the entry from topology table to routing table. When the best path goes down, so it will take the second best from topology table and put it into routing table. And it will take very much less time, like less than a second it will take. We can say it will take milliseconds because it is not doing any calculation. It is doing what? It is just forwarding entry from topology table to routing table. And that is the benefit of having this topology table, that it will reduce the convergence time for the route. Then administrative distance of this EIGRP is 90, which is less than the both administrative distance of RIP and the administrative distance of the OSPF. And that is why, because it is a best protocol than those 2 protocols. And because of that, EIGRP routes will be preferred over these routes. Then EIGRP uses the Reliable Transport Protocol RTP for sending the messages, and EIGRP calculates its metrics by using the bandwidth, delay, reliability and load. This is the bandwidth, this is the matrix of EIGRP. Like RIP has only hop count, OSPF has only cost, but the EIGRP can calculate these all metrics. It can calculate the bandwidth. It will check that which path is giving the router best bandwidth, whether it is going from this path, whether this one is a good one or this one is a good one or this one is a good one. So it checks the bandwidth also. First it checks the bandwidth, then it can check the delay also. Delay means first it is getting more bandwidth, it will check where it is getting more bandwidth, then it will check the delay also. That means how much time it will take to go from this path, how much time it will take to go from this path, and how much time it will take to go from this path. It will check the delay also. Then also it can check the reliability. Reliability, that means sometimes not all the links are reliable. Sometimes some links are flippering or coming and going and getting down, up. So it will not take that path. It can check the reliability also. Then also it can check the load also. That means the load, how much load it can put on that link. So maybe the link is not that good, so maybe it is not able to take that much load, so it will not use that path. But by default actually it does not use all these metrics, because if it uses all these metrics, and one more matrix it actually uses the MTU, maximum transmit unit. That means in a single time how much big transmit, how much a big packet it can send from the link. It checks also that thing, but it will not use all these metrics at the same time by default. By default only bandwidth and delay are used when calculating the metrics, while reliability and load are set to 0. So it does not use all these metrics every time. By default when we configure the EIGRP, so only it uses to calculate the metrics, it uses bandwidth and delay. It does not use reliability, load or MTU. It uses only when we configure it to use. Otherwise what happen, it will get slow, because it will put lot of load on your router. If it is calculating everything, then it will put a lot of load on your router and will get slow. So by default it uses only bandwidth and delay. But if you want, like if you suppose you want to see only reliable link, you want to send the reliable link, so you can enable this also, then it will start checking this reliability also. You want to check the load also, then you can enable this, and this will then the router will start checking this load also. But by default it only checks the bandwidth and delay. Then EIGRP uses the concept of autonomous system. An autonomous system is set of EIGRP enabled routers that should become EIGRP neighbors, and each router inside an autonomous system must have the same autonomous system number configured. Otherwise routers will not become the neighbors. So very simple, autonomous system is a routing domain, and this routing domain autonomous system gets a number, that is autonomous system number, and that which we have to configure when we are configuring the EIGRP. And only these two routers, neighbor router will become the neighbor only when they have the same autonomous system number configured. We don't mention that in OSPF, but still the OSPF will still uses the autonomous system, but we don't configure it. But when we want to combine the two different autonomous numbers, so then we use the autonomous number for OSPF also. Then for the neighbors, so neighbors must establish the neighborship relationship with the EIGRP neighboring routers before accessing the routing information. And to establish the neighbor relationship, router sends the hello packets every couple of seconds, and hello packets are sent to multicast address of 224.0.0.10. And the following fields are fields in a hello packet must be the identical in order for routers to become the neighbors. And what is that? First, the autonomous system number must be similar in the neighboring routers. Then subnet number, k values, components of matrix, they must be similar. Then routers send hello packet every couple of seconds to ensure that the routers neighbors relationship is still alive, and that neighbors the hello packets interval must be similar in both the routers, neighboring routers, to create the neighborship relationship. So by default router consider the neighbor to be down after a hold down timer has expired, and hold down timer is by default 3 times of the hello interval, and on LAN network the hold down timer is 15 seconds. So it only consider the neighbor is down or dead when the timer is expired and hold down timer is expired. and hold down timer is 3 times than the hello interval. So if your hello interval is 5 seconds, so the 15 second it will wait for the reply. If it is not get any reply, then what, it will consider the neighbor as a dead. Then the term called feasible and reported distance. Now in the topology table, when they exchange the information about the routing information from neighbor's router, so they send the information about the network, connected network, and directly connected network and connected network from the other router. So from that they will calculate the feasible and reported distance. These two terms that you will often encounter when you're working with EIGRP are feasible and reported distance. So first, feasible distance is the metric of the best route reach a network. That route will be listed in the routing table, and this is what the feasible distance. So feasible distance is that the best one which is we add into the routing table. Like for example, in these 3 routes, this one is the best path. So this is what the feasible distance. It is distance to go from this network to this network, and this is the feasible distance. And this distance which we put into the routing table, it is called the feasible distance. Then reported distance. This is the matrix advertised by the neighbor router for a specific route, and its other words, it is the metric of the route used by the neighboring router to reach the network. So sometimes we get confused with this feasible distance and reported distance. So sometimes we get confused with this feasible and reported distance. So make sure you have to understand that feasible distance means what? The distance which is we put into routing table, the combined, the total distance. And reported distance is the distance which is advertised by the neighboring router. Neighboring router, for example, here in this network, this router is advertising the route, the distance of this network. Because this network is not directly connected to this router, so it knows this network by this, from this router. So whatever the distance this router says, and this router will calculate the distance based on the link here it is connected. In this case we have connected directly, it is connected to this directly, this router, and this router is connected to this. Let's say for example, for this router it says the distance is 0 because it is directly connected. Then for this router it add this link, so it adds the distance of this link. Let's say this link distance is 10, so it adds 10 into it, so it becomes 10 plus 0. Now this router will send the link information to this router that this is my distance. This is my distance to reach this network. So this is what the reported distance. This is the reported distance to reach this network for this router, reported by this neighbor router. Now this router will do what? It will add the matrix of this route from this router to the neighbor router. It will add plus whatever the route, like for example 11. So now the total becomes what? 22. So this 22 is the total distance of from this router to this network, and this is what the feasible distance. This is the feasible distance to reach this network for this router, and this is the reported distance. So very simple, reported distance is reported by the neighbor router, and the feasible distance is the total distance which is needed to reach the destination. So for example, here EIGRP has been configured on router 1 and router 2. So router 2 is directly connected to the network 10 and advertise that subnet into EIGRP, and let's say the router 2 says router 2's matrix reach to this subnet is this. So when the subnet is advertised to router 1, router 2 informs the router 1 that it is a matrix is to reach this network is this 10. So from the router 1's perspective, that matrix is considered to be the reported distance for that route, and router 1 receives the update and adds the matrix to the neighbor to the reported distance, and that matrix is called the feasible distance, and it is stored in the router 1's routing table, and that will be this. So it will be like this. So the feasible and reported distance are displayed in this router 2. So this router 2 is connected to this network, and the matrix is this for router 2. And when router 2 sends the information to router 1, so it says I can reach this network by using this matrix. So this is the reported distance for router 1. What is the reported distance? This is the reported distance. Now router 1 calculates the link, this one also, and add it into this reported distance, and then it becomes this. And this one is what? This is the feasible distance for the router 1 to reach this network. So feasible distance and reported distance. We can check the routing topology, the topology table by using the show IP EIGRP topology, and in that we can see this. If this is the network, so you can see this, that this is the successor and this is the feasible distance. You can see feasible distance. Now what is this successor? So there is two terms also. It is called successor and feasible successor. Now another two terms that appears often in EIGRP world, this is our successor and feasible successor. It is very simple. A successor is the route with the best matrix to reach the destination. That is the best path which is we added into the routing table. That is called successor. And the route is stored into the routing table. And the feasible successor is a backup path to reach that same destination that can be used immediately if the successor route fails. And these backup routes are stored in the topology table. And for a route to be chosen as a feasible successor, one condition must be met, and that is what? A neighbor's advertised distance AD for the route must be less than the successor's feasible distance. So it is actually a second best path which is put it into the route topology table, and the best path goes to the routing table. So the best path is called the successor, and the second best path is called the feasible successor. Very simple. As I said, it will reduce the convergence time. So if our successor path goes down, so very quickly EIGRP do what? It takes the routing topology table, put the feasible successor into routing table as a successor, and then what? It will reduce the convergence time, and the network will be available again. So it is successor and feasible successor. You will see this in the routing table, in the topology table. You can see the successor and feasible successor. In this routing table, you see only successor is showing here, because there is only single path. If you have multiple paths, then you will see the feasible successor and successor both in the topology table. In the topology table, you will see the feasible successor and successor both. But in a single link, like if you have a single path, then you will see only successor which is added into the routing table. So for example, in this design, we have these multiple paths here, like from router 1 to reach this network. We have two paths here. One is from router 2 and one is from router 3, and both in this from router 2 the matrix is 10, and from router 3 the matrix is 15. So the best path is what? The 10. This one is the best path. We can say this one is the best path. So this is the successor, and this one is the feasible successor. That is what the second best. So it can put as a backup in the topology table. Then EIGRP topology table. So this EIGRP topology table contains all the learned routes to a destination. The table holds all routes received from the neighbors, successor, feasible successor for every route, and interface on which updates were received. The table also holds all locally connected subnets included in a EIGRP process. Best route, that means the successor from the topology table, are stored in the routing table, and feasible successor are only stored in the topology table and can be used immediately if the primary route fails as a backup. So feasible successor route will be as a backup stored into the topology table, and you will only see the feasible successor route when you have multiple paths. If you don't have multiple paths, you will not see that feasible successor. Now the components of EIGRP. So EIGRP has a four basic components. First, protocol dependent modules. So it can do what? The routing for IP, IPX, AppleTalk at the same time. Then it is a neighbor discovery recovery. So neighbor discovery is do by the Hello protocol. Then reliable transport protocol, it uses to do the transfer the messages. It uses the reliable transfer protocol to transfer the reliably messages to the neighboring routers information. Then it uses the dual finite state machine. Now this is what the algorithm used by the EIGRP, like OSPF uses the shortest path, SPF algorithm. This EIGRP used the dual algorithm, diffused update algorithm. It is called diffuse update algorithm. It is used by the EIGRP. So first, the protocol dependent modules, it is implemented for IP, IPX and AppleTalk, which are responsible for the protocol specific routing task. For example, the IPX EIGRP module is responsible for exchanging the route information about IPX networks with other IPX EIGRP process and for passing the information to the dual. Then additionally, the IPX module will send and receive the SAAP information. Figure shows the traffic for the individual. Now modules are encapsulated within their respective network layer protocol. EIGRP for IPX, for example, is carried in IPX packets, and EIGRP will automatically redistribute with other protocol in many cases. Like for example, if IPX EIGRP will automatically redistributed with IPX RIP and NLSP. So if it is configured with the other protocol, the IPX, then it can do what? It can do the redistribution. Redistribution, very simple. It is actually the job. It is actually the feature which makes sure the configuration, the routing between different protocols like EIGRP with RIP with OSPF. Normally we do configure only same protocol to all these routers, but we can do the routing between other protocols by using the redistribution. So EIGRP do this automatically. In other protocol you have to configure it manually. Then AppleTalk EIGRP will automatically redistribute with the AppleTalk RTMP. Then IP EIGRP will automatically redistribute routes with IGRP if the IGRP possessed in the same autonomous system. And that is why it is called protocol backward compatibility with the IGRP. So this is how it works. So protocol dependent module, it depends like modules. We can use the different module for the different protocol, IPX, IP or AppleTalk. It uses the diffusing update algorithm, neighbor discovery recovery, reliable transfer protocol, and it do with the separate IPX and AppleTalk and IP. Then what is this neighbor discovery and recovery routes? This router uses this process to dynamically learn of the other routers on the directly attached network. Router also must discover when their neighbors become unreachable or inoperative. So neighbor discovery recovery is achieved with the low overhead by periodically sending small hello packets. As long as hello packets are received, A router can determine that a neighbor is alive and functioning. When this status is determined, that neighbor routers can exchange routing information. Then reliable transfer protocol. This manages the delivery and reception of ERGRP packets. Reliable delivery means that delivery is guaranteed and that packets will be delivered in order. So guaranteed delivery is accomplished by means of a Cisco proprietary algorithm known as reliable multicast and using the reserved class D address 224.0.0.10, and each neighbor that is receiving a reliable multicast packet will unicast an acknowledgement. So it is making sure that the packet is delivered. Then ordered delivery is ensured by including two sequence numbers in the packet, and each packet includes a sequence number assigned by the sending routers. So this sequence numbers is incremented by 1 each time the router sends a new packet. In addition, the sending router places in the packet the sequence number of the last packet received from the destination router. In some cases, RTP may use unreliable delivery, no acknowledgement is required, and no sequence number will be included for unreliably delivered EIGRP packet. So these sequence numbers actually make sure that they are in a synchronized form. So when one router sends the packet, it says 1. Then when the other router sends the reply, it add 1 into it, it says 2. Then the third router says 3, then 4, like this. So that if suppose some hacker try to insert some packet, it has to know the right sequence number. Otherwise, it will not insert any other packet in between. And in some time it do deliver the unreliable packets also when it needed. Now this dual finite state machine, that means it uses the dual algorithm that is called diffusing update algorithm. This is the algorithm used by Cisco's EIGRP routing protocol to ensure that a given router route is recalculated globally whenever it might cause a routing loop. And according to Cisco, the full name of the algorithm is dual finite state machine, that is dual FSM. And EIGRP is responsible for the routing within an autonomous system and dual response to changes in the routing topology and dynamically adjust the routing table of the router automatically. And EIGRP uses a feasibility condition to ensure that only loop-free routes are ever selected. The feasibility condition is conservative when the condition is true, so no loops can occur. But the condition might, under some circumstances, reject all routes to a destination, although some are loop-free. So when no feasible route to a destination is available, the dual algorithm invokes a diffusing computation to ensure that all trace of the problematic route are eliminated from the network. So it is do all these things to prevent the looping. That was the big problem in RIP. Then EIGRP supports for a large network. So due to the EIGRP features like support to VLSM, summarization, route discovery and maintenance on a single router, EIGRP is more suitable for use in a large network. EIGRP uses autonomous system number to share the route information and identify the collection of routers. Route with the same autonomous system numbers shares routes. Then EIGRP divides into two routes, internal EIGRP route and external EIGRP route. Now internal route, that means these routes are developed within a specific autonomous system by EIGRP routers that are members of the same autonomous system. And the AD, administrative distance of an internal EIGRP routes, is 90. So if the routers are working within the EIGRP autonomous system within the routing domain, the EIGRP AD value is 90 and it is called internal EIGRP route. External EIGRP route, that means these routes are developed within EIGRP routing table by manual or automatic redistribution, and they represent networks that are originated outside of the EIGRP autonomous system, and the AD value for those routes are 170. That means whether they are configured manually or they are redistributing automatically from the other autonomous system, other routing domain, and those networks are coming to this our internal routing domain. So those routes AD value will be 170 and it will be called as a external EIGRP route. We have seen this EIGRP today, that how it is, what is this EIGRP and how we can configure it normally, and what are the basic features and components of the EIGRP we have.